Welcome. Good morning, and thank you for joining me for this online service of the First Unitarian Church of Alton, Illinois on this 8th day of November 2020. This is a lay-led congregation, and I am Tracy Howe-Koch, a worship associate at First UU Alton. Our speaker today will be Matt Koch, who is also a member of UU Alton. Thank you for joining us today. We welcome everyone to this place of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me as I light mine and as I say the following. We gather at this time of uncertainty, full of unknowns, as angst closes in upon us. We light this chalice with a flame that draws us together. With this flame, we cut through the darkness of isolation and are warmed by the fires of our interconnection. For this moment, this radical moment, we find a certainty within the knowable bonds of love and community. Our opening words today are called We, Whose Journeys Are Always Beginning by Marnie Harmony. We, whose journeys are always beginning. We, whose missions always await us. We, whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We gather as a community drawn together out of a common need, each toting our own carpet bag of treasures and dreams. We gather together seeking meaning, yearning to understand life in all of its dimensions, as it challenges and expands, as it burdens, as it consoles, and as it heals. We gather together with questions, the kind of questions that provoke us to the path of action. We gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather with tenderness, the kind of tenderness that can only be born from knowing human capabilities as well as human imperfections. We gather wanting certainty and having none, but we are wakeful to possibilities as we seek discernment and gentle judgment. We gather then, unbounded but close. We gather thirsting. We gather drawn to our source, our Creator. Amen.
Let the Mystery Be by Iris Dement. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say you're gone forever. Some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of a savior if the simple ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But nobody knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't a fact. But I've heard that I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly. I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be.
Our first reading today is the fable of the Chinese farmer. An elderly, hard-working Chinese farmer and his son had a single horse. They used the horse to plow the field, to sow the seeds, grow the crop, and transport it to the market. The horse was essential for the farmer to earn his livelihood. One morning, the horse broke the fence and ran away into the woods. When the neighbors found out that the only horse the farmer had run away, they came to solace him. They said, "Your only horse has run away just before the planting season. How will you till the land? How will you sow the seeds? This is unfortunate. This is bad luck." The farmer replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A few days later, the farmer's horse returned from the woods along with 2 other wild horses. When the neighbors found out the news, they said, "Now you have 3 horses. You can till the land much faster with 3 horses. Maybe you can buy more land and sow more crop and make more money. Or you can sell the other 2 horses. Either way, you will be a rich man. This is good luck." The wise farmer replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Next morning, the farmer's son started training the wild horses so that they could help till the land. While attempting to mount one of the wild horses, he fell down and broke his leg. Just before the sowing season, the son would not be able to help the farmer with his broken leg. The neighbors came once again and commented, "This is really unfortunate. This is bad luck." The wise farmer replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A few days later, the king's men started to visit each village in the kingdom. A war had started between their kingdom and a neighboring enemy state. The king's men were enlisting the eldest son from each family to join the army so that they could defeat the enemy state. When they came to the farmer's house, they saw the son with a broken leg. He would not be much use in the army, and hence they didn't take him. He was the only eldest son in the village who was not forcibly taken by the king's men to fight the war. The neighbors, some of them with teary eyes, came once again to the farmer and commented, "Your son breaking his leg was really fortunate. He is the only one who was not taken. What a stroke of good luck." The farmer calmly replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Our second reading is the Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking, as he did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen.
The Ambiguity Song by Camper Van Beethoven. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. One day soon it will all settle down. But everything seems to be up in the air at this time. All across the nation, people are getting together. From many ideas, they form a single goal. Some people gonna benefit, and others gotta sacrifice. But everything seems to be up in the air at this time. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. One day soon it will all settle down. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. I got some certain special feelings for you. I got some certain special feelings for you. Don't know if they're good or bad, but I just might give you a call. Everything seems to be up in the seems to be up in the air at this time. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time. One day soon it will all settle down. Everything seems to be up in the air at this time.
I now invite you into a time of meditation. So please get comfortable. Perhaps put your feet flat on the floor or just a comfortable sitting position, and close your eyes and relax. And hopefully these words will help bring some calm and peace into this very turbulent time we're living in. In Between by Kate Walker. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Between moments, events, results, action, no action. To stand on the threshold, waiting for something to end and something new to arrive, a pause in the rumble of time. Awareness claims us, alert, a shadow of something different. In between invitation and acceptance, in between symptom and diagnosis, in between send and receipt of inquiry and question, in between love given and love received. Liminality, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity and disorientation. A ritual begun, pause, look back at what once was. Look forward into what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable to wear. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of the oil, in between choosing of text and the reading of words, in between voices and notes carried through the air into ears to hear, in between creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may disassemble and structures may fall. Communities may revolt or tempt trust. Tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge. The people may choose or refuse. In between, storm predicted, the horizon beacons. In between, theology of process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutiae and galaxies intermingle with microbes and mysteries. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Look, listen, feel, and breathe. It is now time for our message, Uncertainty by Matt Koch.
Hello, I'm Matt Koch. I'm Tracy's husband. Tracy was supposed to give the sermon today, and I was offering her a number of thoughts of songs she could use, and she obviously deflected and just asked me to do it. So here we are. So what a great week, right? Best stretch of 70 degrees weather we've had since 1999, since is what Scott Connell said the other day. Who could ask for a better week, right? Yeah, well, if you're anything like me, that's not where my mind has been. This has been one of the most stressful and anxious weeks I could remember. My week probably started 5 years ago when the thought of Trump being elected president was a horrible thought. We've experienced the nightmare of November of 2016 and the last 4 years of hateful and hurtful events. This week I had hope for a repudiation of the years. I've spent countless hours before the election looking at websites like 538 or listening to podcasts and radio about the status of the election, trying to alleviate my concerns. This worked. I felt confidence going into the election, but the odds of Trump being elected were pretty low. Each poll had an uncertainty baked into the numbers and a margin for error. Will the polls shift as they did 4 years ago? Will they shift the other way? Are the polls going to measure the people properly? I wanted to know the future. After drowning myself in information, I still didn't know what was going to happen. No one did. But that said, I felt confident that the country wouldn't repeat the same mistake again, right? So Then we lived through this past Tuesday. My mind couldn't handle another night of dread, so Tracy and I started to watch Perry Mason reruns to avoid the news that didn't look good. At least with Perry Mason, we knew that the true criminals would confess on the stand and Perry would win and justice would be served. But now we have to be living through this uncertainty for at least 3 days. It's Friday today. How do we deal with this? I know I've been anxious. I can't sleep, loss of appetite, and generally just not right. Ironically, writing this is a little bit therapeutic. So it's really difficult to live with uncertainty. And I'm doing it now, and I think we all are. So especially when we feel that the news we seek is going to affect us negatively. I remember the day after Trump won in 2016. It felt like our world would end. But you know what? The world didn't end. I still woke up, drank my coffee, ate, worked, spent time with my family, and slept every one of those days. That's the realization I needed. My anxiety of uncertainty is self-made. The end of the world story I've told myself might not actually happen. Most of the energy drain that is caused by stress is self-inflicted. We project stories of what ifs into a situation, and this can cause more stress than it's really needed. In the Chinese fable, the wise farmer was accepting of the news that happened to him. He didn't even let the situation affect him. Now, his attitude is pretty zen and pretty hard to achieve, but it's really nice to strive for and use as an ideal. I do want to clarify, though, I don't think that a laissez-faire attitude is what's needed. I think that the Serenity Prayer says it well. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There were terrible things that did happen, and we need to make sure our voice is heard when they do occur. We need to do things proactively and not just wait for the future to happen. We need to stand up and do something when we can make change. But as the prayer says, we need to know what we can change, or what things we can change, but not worry about what we can't control. This only causes stress and anxiety. And the last part of the prayer is probably the hardest. Knowing the difference. Most people are not self-aware enough in the heat of the moment to really differentiate this, especially as your mind is spiraling in the wrong direction. Touching back to reality can help you realize what is happening. Pulling away from the TV, website, social media is one step. Talking to a real person about what you're feeling and can help break that spiral. Getting outside for a walk or run, yoga, or just exercise has helped me break that cycle of continually refreshing the website to see what the score is. So far, I've only talked about the uncertainties of the election because I know that was most pressing on my mind and what our government can do would look like in January. But we run into uncertainties everywhere and every day. Some uncertainties can be fun. Will Ross and Rachel get together on Friends? Who will win Dancing with the Stars? Or an episode of American Ninja Warrior? Or some crazy Halloween cupcake baking show? Humans really want to know things, but while the uncertainty in these situations are real, they don't have an impact on our lives. So the tense feelings are manifested in excitement, not dread. But for me, in the case of the cupcake baking show, I have a real feeling of indifference. But now we're running into the uncertainty of going into the grocery store during a pandemic. We could be paralyzed into not doing anything in fear of this uncertainty, but we need to realize that what we do have control over and what the risk really is. There are precautions we can take to make this trip less risky. And now we go to the store again and again with our masks on, sanitized carts, and one way in, one way out, lined up, socially distanced, and washing our hands when we get home. We start to understand the uncertainty and feel more confident that we are going to make it. So I've been working as a project manager for almost 15 years. We use risk analysis to try and address risks in our projects. Risks are uncertainties that may or may not happen. When we start a project, we work with the team to identify what could happen on the project, and then we identify what is going to make the most impact on the project and what is that probability of occurring. We address those that have both high impact and probability, and we try and ask ourselves, how can we either avoid the risk, mitigate that risk, which is just decreasing the impact, or transfer that risk to someone or something else. We may ignore the low probability risks, but not always. If the fix is simple, we would typically just implement them, just like wearing a mask or a seatbelt. Little effort, but high reward if there's a problem. By doing this, we really try and take the emotion out of the process and afterwards create the plan to address the risks. This helps lower the uncertainty of completing the project, or the uncertainty, and so we can complete the project on time and on budget. Again, it's trying to decrease those uncertainties. Now, everyone has a different level of uncertainty they can handle. Some may love to just wing it, go on vacation, see where the day takes them. Maybe in the olden days of 2019, they would travel to a different country, not knowing the language, or maybe just feel they can, or maybe just in general, they could feel like they pull off those orange plaid pants. Others really need to have that plan, know what will happen, and have a backup plan to address any of those risks. And we know people who fall into all of these buckets. In fact, most people just move from bucket to bucket depending on maybe the day or the possibility of what the event is, right? To close out, I wanted to go back to the wise farmer. Things happen, right? They may seem bad or good, but in reality, they just happen. With the pandemic spreading in in March, our daughter Meredith had to come back and cut her semester abroad in Copenhagen short, right? Bad luck, right? I had to pick her up and we had to quarantine in the basement together. Bad luck, good luck. I didn't have to do dishes for a couple weeks and got to spend a great time with my daughter and learn about her trip and spend time with her. So you make the call. Be well, focus on what you can control, change what you can, and know how to tell the difference. Thanks.
As we approach the time for our offering, give what you will, for you are a generous people. I invite you to either mail your offering to the First Unitarian Church offices or to use the Givelify app. Doing so will help us meet our financial responsibility to you at the end of the year. This morning's offering will be most sincerely and gratefully received. May it be lovingly given. Please join me in our offering prayer, which is projected on the screen. May this offering equip us to inspire love and to seek justice. I encourage everyone to be on the lookout for emails from the church office. They are the best way to keep up to date on events and happenings at First UU Alton. You may also check our website, newsletter, and Facebook page. Our closing words as we extinguish the chalice. They are Letting Go by J. Wolin. Are we a people of holding on or of letting go? holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and our hearts to something new. Holding on to certainty of how things should be or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways and being in the world. Holding on to what makes us comfortable or letting go so we may grow, which can be uncomfortable. Holding on to what makes us safe or letting go to make room to help others feel safe. With this flame, this symbol of our religion, let it be a symbol of burning up of the ties that hold us back from being our true self and reaching our true potential. Let it be a symbol of lighting a new way for us into a better tomorrow, and to let it be a symbol of letting go, because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul. So may it be.
This is the end of the world as we know it by R.E.M. As created starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes and aeroplanes. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane, listen to yourself, during worlds of his own needs, dummies of their own needs, speed it up and not speak, grunt no strength, though ladder stretch a cladder with the fear, fought down hot, wire in the fire, present 7 games in the government for hire in the combat site. Buster wasn't coming with a hurry with his breathing down your neck. Cheap by cheap, your board, baffled Trump, tether clock, look at that low plane, fine then. Uh-oh, overflow, population, comma, two, diddle two, save yourself, world, serve his own needs, listen to your heart bleed, tell me with the rapture and the rabbit and the right, you, patriotic, slam, flat, bright light, feeling pretty psyched. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. 6 o'clock TV hour, don't get caught, foreign tower, slash and burn, turn, listen to yourself, germ, like a in a uniform, book, burning, bloodletting, every motive, escalate, automotive, incinerate, light a candle, light a motive, step downs, wash your heels, crush, uh-oh, this is mean, no fear, cavalier, renegade, steer clear, tournament of lies, off me solutions, off me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. Other night I tripped a night, kinda nil, tripped about, mouth sit in a line, Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce in the same bank, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, boom, you, symbiotic, patriotic, slam butt neck, right? Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we